Hi guys, welcome back. I have a really cool surprise for you in this video because I've searched YouTube and I haven't seen anyone else do what I did today in a solar oven. And so I'm really excited to share this with you. This is actually parts 2 and 3. I did 3 baking projects in one day. If you watch the video prior to this, you'll see how I made zucchini bread. But then for the rest of the day, I made 2 more things. I made another loaf of my popcorn bread that I've shown you how to do that before. And then I made homemade pizza. Oh my gosh, yes, I made homemade pizza in a solar oven. So I'm so excited to show you how I did that. So let me go ahead and share with you my popcorn bread recipe. And all I did for my popcorn bread loaf and my pizza crust, all I did was I just doubled this recipe. So if you watched my last popcorn bread video, you'll notice that there's a slight tweak from that recipe. Is instead of just 1.5 cups of popcorn and 2.5 cups of flour, you can see that now I've added that plus sign. And that just means that you may need to actually add a little more flour in order to get the right consistency for the bread crust or the bread dough that you need. So anyways, that's just slightly different. But if you want to screenshot it, this is my recipe that I use not only for a loaf of bread, but my pizza crust. So let me show you how I did it. So here are my ingredients, and of course you know from my popcorn bread video, you're going to need to grind up your popcorn into flour using probably a coffee grinder or some other apparatus that you may have. Make sure that it's finely ground into a flour. Then I use my bread machine and put it on the dough setting, and it takes about 1.5 hours for my dough setting to not only mix the ingredients, but to allow the yeast to work and the bread dough to rise. So while that was making, I went ahead and got my pizza toppings out from the freezer and let them thaw. And I also grated a block of mozzarella. So here's a little shopping tip. If you're going to make pizza or whatever, I would advise buying mozzarella in a block versus the bag of grated cheese, because first of all, it's usually cheaper to buy it in a block. But secondly, if for some reason you don't get to make your pizza in the time that you were planning on, cheese keeps longer if you buy it in a block versus grated. So that is just a little hint there for you. And yeah, so and it only takes like a few minutes to grate it down. So I went ahead and did that. All right, now, if you watched my zucchini bread video, you'll know that that's my zucchini bread. But, and my pan is really dirty because I just shoveled the zucchini bread out because I wanted to retain the heat that was still in this glass bread pan. So I didn't even bother washing it out. So I divided the bread dough. This was after 1.5 hours of it rising. I divided it in half and I threw half of it in my still warm glass bread pan. And then I set that other side, half aside to make pizza crust later. So then if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that this is my method for baking. Is I like to sandwich my glass dish in between 2 cast iron skillets. You'll know that I do this because cast iron, even if it takes a little longer to heat up, it retains that heat, and you get degrees of like 350 and even above that on a really sunny day. Anyways, this particular day was partly cloudy, so I knew that I needed to retain as much heat as possible. So that's why I'm using this method. Also, you can see that this on the bottom is actually a cast iron pizza pan this time. And that is because I had this idea that I was wanting to make pizza and see if I could make it, but I didn't have anything black to make a pizza on. So I went ahead and ordered this black cast iron skillet, and if you have anything cast iron, you know that it's multi-use. You don't just use it for one project. And I know I'm going to use this cast iron pizza pan for a lot of different things. Case in point, I'm using it here for my bread oven. All right, so then while that was baking, while my popcorn bread was baking, I went ahead and fried up some bacon to put on my pizza later. All right, after an hour and a half, which seems to be the sweet spot for my popcorn bread, you know, some recipes tell you to cook it for 2 hours in a solar oven, but I'm finding that an hour and a half is perfect, a perfect amount of time. Don't look at my dirty pan. Just look at this lovely, lovely loaf of popcorn bread. It's delicious. All right, so then I went out and got my really hot cast iron pizza pan out of my solar oven. I threw down a little bit of bacon fat, which immediately melted and sizzled, and I formed the second half of my bread dough into a pizza crust. And oh, there's my lovely loaf of bread. Isn't it so beautiful? And I stuck it back in my Josephine, my Haynes 2.0 solar oven. You can see immediately it started plumping up and cooking because it was super hot. And I just wanted to make a note that when I make pizza, I always cook my crust first because crust takes longer to cook than the toppings. So I cooked this for about half an hour to 45 minutes, and then I added my toppings. And that's what that looked like. I stuck it back in the oven, and after about an hour, the pizza was done. Now, it may look like it's not done because it looks very raw, but it is actually, in fact, cooked. You can see that the cheese is melted, and you can actually, if you look really closely, you can see that that salami is browned on the edges. Everything on this pizza was done, but as you know from my past videos, solar ovens do not give a dry heat, so you're not going to get that crisp that you would from an oven. However, if you like a doughier pizza, then this is where you need to stop. You can eat it right now, but my husband and I like a crispier pizza. So I went ahead and stuck it in my regular oven for about 20 more minutes to get it nice and browned. But you can see that in doing so, I burnt the bacon. So it pretty much turned into coal at this point. So I picked it all off, and this is what my pizza looked like. So, you know, in the event that maybe your power goes out or you're going camping or something like that, you can make pizza in a solar oven. So that's really cool to know. But, you know, if you still have power or whatever and you like a crispy pizza, you can finish it off in the oven, certainly. Either way, you're going to use your regular oven a lot less, which is the advantage of a solar oven because solar ovens are free energy. So, isn't that lovely? Isn't that nice to know that you can make pizza in a solar oven? I think that's really cool. Thank you for watching.